for GHO. Transformations of absolute value functions. Alright, so we're going to do this in a couple parts. Alright, so we spoke about some transformations already. So we're going to go piece by piece, and I'll remind you what we did so far. Alright, so today, alright, for homework purposes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to rewrite g of x in terms of f of x. Now I'll explain what that means. We're going to describe the transformations. The three transformations we're going to work on today are horizontal shifts, vertical shifts, and reflections over the x-axis. Alright, so we're going to work on those three first. We're going to identify the vertex of the graph, and then we're going to graph it. Alright, so let's take a look at one of them. But before we do, I want to just jot your memory on some stuff. So let's say I give you a function, let's say f of x equals 2x plus 3. And then I said, what is f of 3? What would you guys do? Yep. Yeah, I'm going to plug in 3 for x, so 2 times 3 plus 3. 2 times 3 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, right? What if, so that's just plugging in 3 for x, right? And going from there, evaluating the function at 3. What if I plugged in f of a plus b? What would you say the function, what will happen now? What do I do with that a plus b? What did you do with the 3? You plugged in for x. What do you do with the a plus b? Plug in for x, right? So same concept. So this just becomes 2 times a plus b plus 3. Right? And we could simplify it and all that, right? But the point is, whatever we plug in for x, or whatever f of x is, we plug into the function, right? So we plugged in 3, we plug into the function x, we plug in for x, we plug in, if we put a plus b here, we're going to put that in also for x. Alright, so we're going to take that and use that for how we rewrite these terms. Now let's take a look. So number 1 in our packets, okay? So number 1 says y equals x, the absolute value of x plus 4. What I want you to do first is right next to it, I want you to write f of x equals the absolute value of x. Alright, so we're always going to put that for all our problems. And it says y equals x plus 4. What I want you to write instead of y equals, I want you to write g of x equals the absolute value of x plus 4. Alright, so our first step is we're going to rewrite g of x in terms of f of x. Alright, so 1. Rewrite g of x in terms of f of x. So g of x is equal to, alright, so I want to get f of x in here somehow. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this x plus 4, okay? Originally it was x, and now it's x plus 4. So what did I do to my function to go from f of x to g of x? Well, instead of plugging in x into my function, and that's why I get the absolute value of x, I'm actually plugging in, or substituting in the quantity x plus 4. So g of x is equal to f of x plus 4. Right? So f of x is equal to the absolute value of x. F of x plus 4 is equal to the absolute value of x plus 4, which now we know as g of x. So just by doing that one shift, I don't call it my function f of x anymore. I just want to give it a different name, and now I just call it g of x. So your answer for number 1 is, how do we write g of x in terms of f of x? Right. So g of x equals f of x plus 4. And we'll do a bunch more, so you'll catch on. Second is I want to describe my transformations. Right. So what kind of transformations do I have here? Okay. So to bring it back, so if you recall, f of x equals, so for absolute value we have a times the absolute value of x minus h plus k. And we'll just concentrate on these. There's a b value in here as well, but we'll concentrate on these for now. Or we also did parabolas, a times the quantity of x minus h squared plus k, right? And the h and k all did something. The h was a horizontal shift. The k was a, anybody remember? Vertical shift. And the a we'll get to in a second. Okay. So this has an absolute value of x plus 4, or f of x plus 4. So this is a horizontal shift 4 units, not right, but left. So x plus 4 inside is a horizontal shift 4 units to the left. Does anybody remember why it's going to the left? Anybody remember why it's going to the left? Because it says plus 4, and it's going left, which is kind of deceiving because it kind of makes me want to think that's going to the right 4.
Oh, because I'm pretty sure it's like minus.
Yeah. The formula is x minus h, right? So in order for this to work, x minus, this would have to be a negative 4 in order for it to become x plus 4. Right? So the formula has x minus 4 in there, right? So the general form of this. And when h is negative 4, it actually simplifies to become x plus 4. Our third thing is, what is our vertex? So where is the bottom of the graph, right? So this is our graph. Our vertex is here. Vertex are coordinates. It's a coordinate. And if we look back, if we look at this, the vertex is always going to be your h, comma, k values. So whatever the h value is and the k value, that's your vertex. So the vertex is your h and your k in that formula. So what is the h value in this formula? And g of x equals the absolute value of x plus 4. Yep. Yeah. The h value is negative 4. What is the k value? Yeah, there is no k value, right? I'm not adding anything to the end here. So my vertex is negative 4, 0. So my last piece here would be to graph this. So I'm going to plot my vertex first. Negative 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I could go back and I say, okay, well, if x is negative 3, what's my y value? Y value is 1. If x is, I'm going to do 1 to the right and 1 to the left. If x is negative 5, what's my y value? It's also going to be 1. If x is negative 2, what's my y value? If x is negative 5, negative 6, what's my y value? And you'll notice that it's always going to keep its shape. And you just have your graph going this way. My parent function again, f of x equals the absolute value of x. And let's get our new function in there. G of x equals the absolute value of x plus 1. Alright, so step 1. I want to rewrite g of x in terms of f of x. Okay? I want to rewrite g of x in terms of f of x. So g of x equals. Now if we look at this, right, g of x equals the absolute value of x plus 1. What is the absolute value of x? Well, if you look back, what is the absolute value of x? The absolute value of x is f of x. So g of x is equal to f of x, and then I have that plus 1 on the outside, so plus 1. So the absolute value, so g of x equals the absolute value of x plus 1. The absolute value of x is simply f of x, and I'm adding 1 to it on the outside. What kind of transformation is that plus 1? What does that plus 1 do to my graph? What kind of transformation? Up 1. Okay, so this is a vertical shift up 1 unit, or 1 unit up, however you want to word it. What is my vertex of this function? Yeah, so my h value is 0 here, right? There is no h value inside, so it's 0. And the k value is positive 1. So the vertex is hk, or in this case, it's going to be 0, 1. And lastly, my graph. I started my vertex, which has a y-intercept of 0, 1. Plot my point. And again, you could just use some values here and figure out where it's going. Right now, all these graphs have a leading coefficient of 1. So they're all going to do the same thing, because the slope here is technically 1. And in the future, in part 2 of this video, we'll show you how the slope changes. So right now, you can kind of go up 1, right 1, up 1, left 1. And continue that pattern, because the slope is going to stay continuously at 1. and -1. So let's try another one. Let's put the two of those together. Let's put a horizontal and a vertical shift in one. So I got f of x equals the absolute value of x. And let's go g of x is equal to the absolute value of x minus 1 minus 2 on the outside. Alright, so step 1, I want to rewrite g of x in terms of f of x. So g of x equals, what does it equal? Let's take a shot at it. Go ahead, all yours. Okay, f of x minus 1, which takes care of this part, and then minus 2 on the outside, which takes care of that part. Excellent. Second, describe my transformations. What kind of transformations do I have here? Okay, I'm going to abbreviate this. I'm going to say h dot shift, so horizontal shift, 1 unit right, and a vertical shift, 2 units down. Beautiful. What is my vertex here? What is my vertex? Yep, so there's an h value here of 1, there's a k value here of -2, so my vertex is 1, comma, -2, and then I go after my graph. I'm going to start at my vertex of 1, comma, -2, so 1, -2, and again, because the coefficient here, the leading coefficient is 1, and the leading coefficient in front of the x is 1, this is simply just going to have a slope of 1. So from here, you could plug points in, or you could just shortcut and say, okay, since the slope is going to be 1 there, up 1, right 1, up 1, left 1. So it goes both ways. And you could always just follow that pattern. And enjoy your life. Parent function, f of x equals absolute value of x. New function, g of x equals negative absolute value of x plus 2 plus 3 on the outside. Alright, so we introduced a new piece to this, right? So now we introduced the negative sign in front of the absolute value. Alright, we'll name that shift in a second. So 1, g of x in terms of f of x. When you're rewriting this, right, forget about the negative sign for a second. How would you rewrite g of x in terms of f of x, forgetting about the negative? What would you do to rewrite g of x in terms of f of x? Sure, all yours. F of x plus 2 plus 3 on the outside, and the negative sign I'm just going to put in the front. Negative. Alright. Second, my transformations. Alright. I have a horizontal. So I have a horizontal shift. 2 units left, right, because it's plus 2. I have a vertical shift, 3 units up, and then the negative sign. Okay, the negative sign in front, bring down here, is a reflection over the x-axis. And we'll graph that in a moment. We'll see what that looks like. My vertex, exactly the same. It's still HK. What is the vertex? What is my H? What is my K? H is -2. K is 3. So my vertex is -2, comma 3. And then lastly, my graph. I'm going to start with my vertex, -2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now, since I'm reflecting over the x-axis, rather than going up, I'm going to just go down. Right? So reflection over the x-axis. I'm not going to go this way any longer. I'm going to go down. So now instead of going 1 up, 1 right, I'm going to go down 1, left 1, down 1, right 1. And I'm going to follow that pattern going down. So that's a reflection over the x-axis. So you're no longer going up, now you're going down.